Okay, it's October 10th, 2019. George Webb on the Diplomatic Back Channel, the Potomac, right across from Dahlgren Naval Warfare Center. So we talked about three Navy brothers in the last episode. Well, two specifically. One was Kevin Gonter. The other one was Matt Gonter. We talked about working on Capitol Hill with Nancy Pelosi and also with Joe Biden potentially at one point. And then there's a third brother named Michael Gonter, who's with the Overseas Economic Development Board for NATO. So we're going to get to all three of those, but the second one's the most important one that I mentioned, this is Matthew Gonter. He is DIA. He has received, actually in 2012, the Human Intelligence Award. Human Intelligence is developing spies like Imran Awan. And he goes back to this ELINT, listening for submarines again, with the headphones, is his Navy background. He's in the Navy a long time, like his brother Kevin, but then he also went into the Navy Reserves, which is this kind of clandestine, national clandestine service. So he is still in the program. If you look, I published his LinkedIn, but I think it's getting more significant now because I did look at Bill Taylor's relatives. I did look at his brothers, the pictures that different people provided me, Paisley and so forth. And I'm more convinced than ever that it was Bill Taylor that I was talking to, which is very significant because now you have somebody who was on the inside, potentially knowing exactly how money was laundered, where things were going, was offshore oil for NAFTA offshore oil going to Ukraine, to this NAFTA company that's owned by Kolomoisky, was the Libya money, the Libya assets and the Libya oil and the Libya gas, as well as the Egyptian gas. Was that laundered through Ukraine, through this NAFTA? Again, no revenues at all, and all of a sudden skyrocketing revenues in a place that doesn't really have that much gas and oil for this company that Kolomoisky owns. So we don't know yet all the answers, but we do know now that Matthew Gonter is a human intelligence expert with DIA, and he would be the most likely person actually configuring the phones. It makes sense that Andre Taggart, being a Navy cryptologist living at the house since 2009, she's been living at the house since 2009, and so is Taggart at that location in Hawkshead. It would make the most sense that they were the ones actually configuring the phones, not actually Imran Awan. Imran Awan was the front. Imran Awan was taking people to the strip clubs, etc., the Carousel Club and the Camelot Club, trying to do bribes with different defense contractors, and trying to basically compromise everybody but Lockheed and but Raytheon in a kind of using spying on Capitol Hill for the personal benefit of the people that we know in our story who have shares in Lockheed, like James Comey, and Raytheon, like our good friend Whitey Bulger, Devon Archer, and Peter Strzok. So that's the key. And then the other piece is it looks very much like in this overseas development board to NATO, there's these things called trade credits, and specifically aviation trade credits. And it seems like Michael Gonter is involved in these aviation trade credits with potentially Eclipse Aviation. And again, a trade credit is basically you buy something or you do something that we want you to do, and then basically we give you trade credits, which is like money. It's just the same as Walmart giving you a $5 rebate card. But if you're buying something you would have bought anyway, like a private plane, an Eclipse plane, again, we're going to do the financing for you with Exim Bank, with our good friend Bijan Kian, then why not get the trade credits? And then the trade credits then can get processed through Ukraine. Everything that Kolomoisky does and everything that Wexner does are all pointed toward this money laundering. When you buy 7 or 8 television stations, it's because you just have money coming out your ears. When you start buying basketball teams and starting basketball leagues in the Middle East, when you start buying all these oil and gas companies, when you start buying all this nuclear material. And it looks very much the reason that Burisma has this meteoric climb is that they're laundering oil and gas revenues and other maybe seized assets from Libya, and the plan was to also do that in Syria as well. That never went through. So we're looking at those things. There's definitely a nuclear aspect to this with the Bidens, though. Bill Taylor, the person, again, who I believe was giving me that Gonter Blackberry, his father's also involved in nuclear. His father was involved in the nuclear explosions the Army did in the Bikini Island and Eniwetok Islands. He's very close to the nuclear arsenals in the Southwest. Then he joins the Atomic Energy Commission, and then he goes to NASA. It just seems like all of our NASA scientists that come into our Apollo program come in. Those are the black keys that couldn't come in as the white keys earlier on with Project Ivory, the people that just had such black history that they needed to be rinsed in. But that's Bill Taylor's background, and it very much points to, again, this nuclear connection with the Bidens. It very much seems like this $167,000 a month that's paid out to Devon Archer and paid out to Hunter Biden is for basically the Ukes brokering the nukes, the Ukrainians brokering the nukes. And it seems that's the final and most important market they make is Ukes and nukes. And it's made, again, with this close friendship between Les Wexner and Kolomoisky. As I said, it's a Tel Aviv to Columbus, Ohio connection. And again, it looks like Piketon might not only be a control point for exfiltrating centrifuges, but everything, as a warehouse almost for bringing in from Argonne National Laboratories nuclear fuel rods, or Idaho National Laboratories, or Lawrence Livermore, etc. And then it flies under a Z Division nuclear cover to get to Piketon, but then it travels through a Department of Energy program, unfortunately, to these places in Ukraine and also Iran. The Mogilevich connection to Bob Levison in Kish Island also seems to be the new AQ Khan back channel, if you will, for selling rogue nations their nuclear supply. We talked a lot about Gulf Tainer and how that was nuclear Ali. It's again in the place where the nuclear submarines are being retrofitted. They're being retrofitted in Kings Bay, Florida, near Jacksonville. Again, we have a Gonter there, Tina Gonter there, down in Mobile, Alabama as well, Charleston, South Carolina. Just seems like these are all the exfiltration points. Again, developing nuclear navies for other countries in the world, or at least putting them on the track to doing that by developing students and a program with these TRIGA training reactors that then graduate into nuclear Navy type power plants for subs and aircraft carriers. So it very much seems like the payola to Hunter Biden is directly connected with this $1.5 billion hedge fund from China. That money from China Nuclear is directly for investments of Chinese companies in the infrastructure. There's a couple of folks, one by the name of Mohammed Mobeen Arif, that seem to be recruiting for Devon Archer for these different positions. Again, going to the universities that have the TRIGA type reactors, sort of like the Mark Lambert son-in-law story all over again, to develop this nuclear infrastructure. The Eclipse planes can carry the nuclear infrastructure pieces, sort of like peace parting the Manhattan Project again and moving it lock, stock, and barrel like we did for Libya, like we did for Iraq, like we did for Iran, like we did for North Korea, to whoever the next customer is. So I'm going to leave it right there. This is going to be the installment for the 10th. I'll have another one on the 11th, a little bit later today, but we definitely have this idea of trade credits with Michael Gonter in Paris. He's working in Paris. He's doing these trade credits for aviation. Trade credits is his specialty. I believe I know what actual lab he is, or what actual airport he works out of, but I don't want to say it just yet until I locate the picture, geolocate the picture. But it's of a plane over a door. And a very specific location that I just want to geolocate. So we'll leave it right there. We'll be doing a show this morning at 10 o'clock with John, and we'll continue our discussion there.